welcome to episode 5 of the Coach's Car Ride Home. I'm your host, Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paul.
And we're here with another great episode.
Ready to go.
Yeah, this is episode 5. Thank you for tuning in last week. Thank you to our new listeners and subscribers.
Got some good feedback. Talked to some people at the tournament last weekend who have been listening and watching.
Yeah, it was awesome meeting some parents and hearing, what they like to hear.
One of their suggestions is going to be today's topic.
Yes. Shout out to our 11s team. So just on the weekend really quick, we had a really great weekend. Super fun. Amazing teams. A lot of teams.
A lot of teams. It's always amazing when you walk in that gym and you see all those people and all those volleyballs in the air and all that noise and whistles. Still don't get used to it.
Yeah, how overstimulating it is and how close you are to the court next to you, and you never ever get used to it.
Yeah, but if you step back and you think about it, you're like, wow, all these girls are getting this great opportunity to play this great sport and learn all these life skills and have fun.
And growing, right? We saw that we talked about the different divisions, and we saw the American division was split into 2 because there were so many teams.
And there was a wait list for teams that couldn't get in. We're talking about the Sunshine Classic bid tournament that we were at this weekend.
Yeah, so just incredible that all these young athletes want to play this sport. I think it's really awesome. And also just a good glimpse into what the next couple of months is going to look like for us, right?
Right. We're in bid season.
We're in travel season too. Our next tournament is not, for another 2.5 weeks, but we go to Minneapolis. So.
Right. We're not driving anymore. We're flying now.
Yeah. So it gets further away and, closer to the national tournament that we want to get to. So super fun weekend. Proud of our girls. I think they did really well.
Yeah, we did well considering we were down 2 players and they played really hard. We came in second place in silver in USA, which is pretty darn good. Yeah. I think we talked about last week, how to choose which division to play in. I think we chose right.
Yeah.
We seemed to be right there with all the teams and could have gone either way. And a couple games and sets were by a point or 2 here or there. Sometimes we wound up on top, sometimes we didn't. But that's when you're in the right spot, when the quality of competition is very much like yourself and you finish somewhere where you expect to finish.
Definitely. So very good weekend. Happy about it, but let's jump in. So one of the topics that was asked for us to touch on and to talk about was how a position is picked for a player. So one of the dads on our 11s team, he asked us, is my kid always going to play this position? She's newer to volleyball. She's still young. How is the position picked for these kids? Do they stick, if you're, say, put in a libero position, will you be that for the rest of your life?
Right.
If you're made a setter, will you be that for your entire career? So I think it's a really great question.
It is a good question.
No. The answer is no.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the age you are when you try out.
Yeah.
So if you're trying out young for 11s, 12s, even 13s, I don't think as a coach you want to really, shoebox anybody into a certain position. You want to kind of look at all of the players at tryouts for their athletic ability, for what skills they have or don't have, and then through your training and your coaching, develop those players that you seem to fit into certain categories that might work best for the team, and it may not always be that way.
Right.
It changes. You may not wind up where you started. That happens, I think, with a lot of players.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And especially at the younger age, we have a 10s and 11s team. And I feel like at that age, it's so important to, okay, you have hustle and you have athleticism. Like, we can make you a volleyball player. So definitely at the younger age, typically the tall girls be put in the front row, and vice versa, the shorter people in the back row.
But at those younger ages, the height differences aren't as great.
Right.
They're more the same size, and it doesn't matter as much because none of them are really getting over the net anyway.
Right.
So there's not a lot of blocking going on in 10s, 11s, and 12s.
Right.
So at that point, it's important to develop all the skills.
Right.
And we're advocates for everybody learning and playing every position because you never know who's going to develop into what position. But from a coach's perspective, I guess in those early practices, you look at the things that would be good qualities for a certain position. Yeah. So if somebody has good hands right away, just naturally, well, then you might develop them as a setter. If somebody's quick and has good reflexes and reactions, well, they're probably going to be libero, DS. If somebody can jump real high and hit real hard, they're looking at, being in the front row.
Right, and typically at tryouts, before you even make a team, they go through, at least we go through each individual skill. We'll spend a certain amount of time on passing, we'll spend a certain amount of time on serving, hitting, setting. We'll do everything with every kid so that we can evaluate, okay, they might not be listed as a setter, but wow, look at how great they are at it.
It also depends on what you need
Right.
for the team.
Exactly. And at 14 as well, I know you just said this, but we do encourage them to try everything and to learn everything. We spend the first 2 months of practice in our preseason going through and breaking down each skill and making sure that they know how to do each skill. So I do think that's super important too.
Yeah, and also we try and develop backup players for positions or extra players for positions. We may go through a tryout and only identified one setter that we really, are keen on, but we want to have a second setter if we're going to run a 6-2, or we want to have a backup setter in case the first setter gets injured or sick or can't make a tournament. So in that case, we'll look for somebody who's got some potential in that spot and then develop them. And we've done that in other years too.
So maybe let's just talk to players and to coaches and maybe parents on some different characteristics for each position.
Sure.
We can start with libero or DS. I think libero, DS, they go hand in hand, right?
Pretty interchangeable, and a lot of times they're battling for that libero spot because you may have 2 or 3 back row or defensive players on your team, and you want to pick the 1 or 2 for that libero spot that fit it best. So
Right.
a lot of the skills are the same.
Yeah, so if you want to be a libero, you want to be a DS, here's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for amazing ball control. We're looking for being aggressive, moving towards the ball. So always moving forward towards the ball, moving back towards the ball. Passing skills, obviously, passing with your hands as well. Super important. A really strong server, I think, is also something a libero and a DS can definitely be good at. And then just an overall loud and demanding player on the court, someone who's going to help run the court.
Yeah, the libero is pretty much the quarterback of the defense, so they have to be in charge of what's going on at the floor all the time, and they're on the floor a lot. They're on the floor almost 6 rotations most of the time, so they have to be kind of in control of what's going on.
Right, and so assigning roles. So if you are a player or you're a coach and you have a DS who wants to be a libero and they're asking you, how can I get there? Have assigned some libero roles. So we do this on our team is we say libero passes every free ball. Every free ball that they can get to, that's the libero's ball, right? Because we want to assign that the libero is the one that in their head, okay, that's my ball. I'm going to go get that ball. And so in practice, if there are 2 players who are going after that libero spot, you can see who's working towards and who takes that.
Who takes charge.
Yeah,
who takes command, who runs the team well.
Balls.
Yeah, and they're also going to be in charge of things like who's got which seam, making sure the other players are in the right positions for serve, receive, and for serve, so that, they have to be smart, they have to know the game, and they have to be involved.
And out of system setting. I think that's the last one I didn't say is out of system setting. Your libero gets every second ball when your setter passes, and they're the ones then setting the pin hitters.
So they have to have that skill of being able to set as well as play defense.
Yeah, so that's the libero. Let's talk about the setter. So our setter, we also need to be quick, super quick, right? They need to get from defense to the net super fast to target, or
and chase errant passes and
right, and then chase down all these passes that your passers are spraying all over the court. So they have to be quick. They have to be able to run to the ball. They also have to be very hungry for the ball because they get every second ball. They touch more balls on that court than anybody else on the team, and so
if you want to be involved in the game, learn how to set, because you're involved in every single play.
Yeah, they are the quarterback of the offense, right? So just like the libero is of the defense, the setter is the quarterback of the offense. They tell your hitters, what they're going to be hitting and serve receive. They make sure that the ball is in the same spot every time. So another very big characteristic.
And they call the plays and they talk to the hitters about where they're going to set them and what plays we're going to run and who's going to be where.
Yep. So they have to have a little bit of that personality.
And they have to play defense.
Yeah,
That's
they
a lot.
definitely have to play defense. They have to have that go-getter personality for sure, and to be able to have the big outgoing personality of I'm going to run this team. But also ball placement. They need to be able to get the ball to their hitters from wherever they are on the court. So they have to have a lot of ball control.
And they have to be willing to work really, really hard, because the ball control and setting is a learned skill.
Yeah.
Nobody's born with it. And they have to do it over and over and over again. The most successful ones are the ones that go home every day and pass against the wall or to themselves, or set against the wall or to themselves 100 times, 200 times, 300 times, over and over and over again, just so they get that ball control and that feel. So they have to be willing to put the work in. You can't just show up and say, I want to be a setter,
No.
and be good at it. That just doesn't happen.
And then let's talk about the different hitting positions, middle, outside, and right side. Our outsides are also a big key player on the team. You know, if you want to be a 6 rotation outside, you need to be able to pass, play defense, and hit and score. An outside hitter is someone who's super reliable. They get about 80% of the balls. They get almost every out of system ball. So they need to be able to score on almost any set that they get.
And on a lot of teams, they're the go-to player. They're the one that gets the ball. You know, when we need to score, or when it's a bad pass and we got to get somebody to take a swing, it's going to the outside on most teams.
Yeah. So I think personality-wise for an outside is have that fish mentality of, if I make an error, it's okay, I need to score the next one, or I need to get over it and move on, because you will get the next ball.
You also
right?
have to have an aggressive mentality, because it's a position where you're going to be swinging hard every time. The block is keyed on you. They know the ball's coming to you, so you have to be able to swing around the block, swing hard, and like you said, shake off a mistake or an error or a block and go right back and do it again.
And I think the same goes for the right side. I think right sides sometimes aren't as looked at the same as an outside, but they pretty much are. You know, they're
Right sides are super important too, because they're blocking the other team's outside hitter or dominant hitter. So they need to be good blockers, preferably tall, so they can get over the net. And they really help the team when they're a good aggressive hitter, because that gives us a more balanced offense. We see so many times that have so many teams that have a great outside hitter, but they're weak in the middle or weak on the right side. To be a really good team, you need to be balanced across the front row, so all 3 hitters can hit all the time, which confuses the defense. You don't know where it's going to go, and you're afraid of everybody scoring.
Right.
So it also helps if you want to be a right side, if you're a lefty, because
Definitely.
the reason for that is that when the ball is coming from the setter to you, if you're a lefty, your left hand is closer to the setter and closer to the ball, so it doesn't have to cross across your body before you hit it. Just like if you're an outside hitter or on the left side, it's preferred to be a righty for the same reason. The ball doesn't have to cross your body before you can hit it. So if you're tall and you're a lefty and you want to be a front row hitter, a right side is a great spot for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Or it's a great spot to be a setter.
Yes.
Because colleges look for tall lefty setters, because they can run a 5-1 where the setter plays all the way around. That way they're a threat in the front row. They can block, they can jump and hit, and they can set all from the front row. And that's a ideal thing.
Well-rounded.
Opportunity as a setter.
To be a setter.
The last one in the front row.
The middle, what we love. We love our middles. Typically the tallest player on your team, and sometimes we do see this at 13, 14 years old that, they'll take the tall girl and put her in the middle when she could
all
be
the time.
Outstanding outside or an amazing right side. And so if you are a middle and you just want to try the right side or the outside, please ask your coach, because it's super important, not to just be put in the middle. And middle's hard, right? So middles have to be very quick to both pins to be able to block. They also need to be loud, and they need to be quick off the net and quick back on the net. Obviously height does help. Yes, you're the biggest blocker out there.
You gotta be able to jump
Your
high.
main job is to block, right? And sometimes I think middles get really frustrated if they don't get set a lot in the game, but that's okay, because their main job is to block and to provide defense.
Yeah, it's one of the things you see listed. You see middles listed as an MB, middle blocker, or an MH, middle hitter. And there's like some discussion about, well, which one is it? And a lot of coaches say, well, you're a blocker first and you're a hitter second.
Yeah.
I like to have a middle hitter that is a threat hitting, because it really opens up the defense. So it's really a two-way kind of player. But it's also the hardest position to get a set to your middle, because you really need a really good pass to get it there. So that's why middles don't get set as much, and it can be frustrating to want to hit and see every ball going to the outside. So you got to be able to deal with that frustration and realize you're still contributing to the team, even if you're not getting set every ball. Okay, so we did all those positions. Now you show up for a tryout, and you have in your head, I really want to be an outside, I really want to be an outside. Is it smart to go into that child and tell them, I only want to be an outside?
No. Absolutely not. I think you go into that child knowing that you want to be a hitter and want to be a front row player. But if they say, hey, we need someone to play right side right now, or hey, we need someone to play middle, or even back row or setter, like, go try every position. Show them that your hand goes up first. Okay, I'll try, right? And you can say that you have a preference to be an outside hitter. That's beautiful. That's perfect. But I wouldn't be closed-minded on other positions that they might want to fill.
Well, you also might show up and there's 4 outside hitters that are really good, and the team doesn't have a right side. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of important to get a picture for what does this team need. If I really want to be on that team or with that club, where can I fit into that spot? The other thing is to train for multiple positions is when an opportunity arises at another position, you have the skills to play. Mm-hmm. And like you said, first hand up, right? Mm-hmm. So you're on a team and you're not getting a lot of playing time because you're the 3rd outside hitter and the right side gets hurt. Well, if you've got training and experience playing right side, you say, Coach, I'm ready to go. And then you might get that spot. You might get more playing time. You might be able to show what you can do and earn your way into a bigger role.
Mm-hmm. It happened actually in college, in practice a lot, honestly. Right. We had 4 middle blockers, if not 5 at a time, and we only had maybe 2 right side hitters. And so they would ask all the time, can someone go fill in right side? And I would just run over there because it's fun, right? It's like, this is my opportunity to show you that I can do this as well, but also to just get more reps and be in the game and be playing.
Sure. And you got to play in some games at right side too because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely be the first one to put your hand up. I think that's number one rule. Just try, and you never know what's going to happen. But going back to maybe the main question of, are they going to get stuck, right? So this was an 11's dad who asked us this question. And he was just wondering, he has a couple different kids at a couple different clubs, and, how to move between positions, but also what it is going to look moving forward for him and his kids. Now, I'm just going to put in my own experience here because I started out as an outside, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, an outside. But then I also was a setter. But then I became a middle. And so you have no idea until 1, you're fully grown, and 2, what skill develops the best, right? And so for me, that was hitting and blocking in the middle, and also my height. I was tall for pretty much my whole life. Right. So, but I did start out as an outside, and then I did do some setting, and then I was a middle blocker. So I think just moving forward, again, just continue growing all of those skills, but also having them play the different positions, and just be open-minded if offered a certain position over something that you're used to playing.
But you sometimes have to get around coaches putting you in a position and locking you in there and only seeing you that one way. So what advice do you give to players and parents, but mostly players, if they feel stuck in one position or they want to try another position? What's the best way to do that?
So I think respectfully, you got, again, not hired, but you got picked for this team in a position most likely, right? So you need to respect that coach wants you to play in that position, and you're going to do that the best that you possibly can. But you can also, again, just keep advocating for yourself. Can I play right side? Can I hit right side? Can I try this? Or I'm just going from middle to right side because that's a very easy one. So say you're a DS and you want to try setting. Again, just keep advocating for yourself. And then if it's something you really want to do the next year, you make sure that you try out for a team that you can be a setter on, or you can be that position that you really want to be.
Right. You have to get past the fear of asking for something, right? Yep. There's no harm done in asking coach, hey, I'd really like to try this, or I'd like to get some reps in this. There's no guarantee, but I'd like to get some time. And then what about parents? Because a lot of times parents are in the background and on the sideline, and they want the best for their kid, and they know their child really wants to play a certain position. If and when should they get involved at all?
Yeah, that's tough, right? Because obviously you want to help your kid and you want to advocate for your kid as well. But I am a firm believer that the player should always talk to the coach first. Talk to them. Have an open conversation about can I try this position? Why have I not played that? Like, just ask the questions. See what coach has to say, because I'm sure there's a reason. Now, parent involvement, I don't think is necessary, because again, they were picked for a certain position and you agreed to play on that team for that position. Now, you can just keep encouraging your kid, have a conversation with coach, keep asking coach, let's go work
Sometimes
outside.
they're afraid to, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to go take a private in this other position, right? Or do you want to go to the park and work with me and we can watch YouTube and whatever?
And then what about players who do get into a position and stick with that position, or get stuck in a position when you get to the older ages? When's the good time to say, okay, this is my focus now? Because you have to, at some point, focus on a certain position so that you grow those skills and keep up with everybody else so you can be competitive.
I think 15, 16 is really kind of where you solidify. And it's what you have found that you are best at, right? What you have found that is working for you and that you're successful in, and that you're finding yourself having the most playing time, but you're also having the most fun in that position. You don't want to be out there being a setter if you're scared of every second ball, right? So that's our main topic that we have for this week. We're super excited. We have John Brodner, who is joining in with us. He is our old club director, and he has 2 daughters who played club volleyball from very young age. So we're really excited and happy that he's here.
Let's bring him in.
Okay.
All right, John, welcome to the podcast. Our club director and dad of 2 players. Great to have you with us. Tell our audience a little bit about how you got into volleyball and how you got into being a club director and your experience.
All right. Well, thank you, Paul and Lauren, for having me. We got into club volleyball about 12, 13 years ago. My daughter, Sarah, went for rec tryouts, and Kyle Kurlander was there, one of the JVC coaches, and suggested that she come try out for the travel team. And next thing you know, 13 years later, I've been director for about 10 years and have 2 kids that play travel volleyball, and don't know what happened. I never thought we would play travel sports, but it's been great.
Well, it's kind of a
quick version.
Kind of an odd path to get from rec parent to club director, but in our club, it's kind of a unique situation where all the administrators are volunteers. So it might have been me or somebody else that tapped you at the time that said, hey, we need more volunteers, and you stepped up. So tell us about that experience of transitioning from parent to administration and the things that you had to learn quickly and what was involved in that.
Right. So it was the 3rd year that Sarah was playing, and the club director's daughter ended up going to another club at the last minute. And at the time, Juan was the president of JTA Volleyball and called me and asked if I would, help out the club and be the director. And I said, sure, thinking that, what do you do? Just make schedules and buy some balls and stuff, and didn't realize how involved it was.
So in some clubs, the club director is actually like the owner of the club, the ones that are for-profit organizations. So they have a motivation to really make the club do well and be profitable. But in your case, it was kind of a labor of love, I guess, to do something for your daughters or the community. Is that about right?
Yeah. Again, when I get into something, I can't go 50%. I go full throttle, and especially when kids are involved, I don't want to fail the kids. So I just put as much effort into it as I could. I did a lot of research into other clubs. I looked how other clubs were run and things like that. And I actually think what made it easier was the fact that I wasn't making money. So I wasn't worried. We had a budget, obviously, because we have to pay for, we have to set how much the fee was going to be based on what tournaments we went to and paying coaches. But I didn't have to worry about me making money to pay bills because I wasn't getting paid anything. So I could focus on really the kids and the coaches, and how to make it better for them.
What would you say separates a good club from a great club? So I think 10 years ago when you started, we were a good club, but we have really grown and become a great club over the last 10 years.
Well, thank you for saying that, first of all. For me, I put the coaches first. And obviously my number one concern and goal was for the kids. But I figured if you had happy coaches, you have happy coaches coming to practice. That makes for happy times at practice. The kids can feel your energy. That makes for happy kids. Happy kids make for happy parents, and a happy coach generally puts more effort in. So I wanted to make sure our coaches were happy. That's what I based it on. And I will say that it's kind of tough to have like a complete outline because a very large club is going to feel differently than a small club. I personally like the feel of a small club. My daughter Sarah ended up at a really big club for a year. Then she went to another smaller club in our area, and which was kind of neat for me because then I could see how other clubs were run. And, it's just what you want. Some people want the big name. They have 8 teams per age group. And maybe that's what makes people happy, and that's fine. Or they go to a club that play in lower tournaments, and they don't have top teams, top players, but they have a great time. That's perfectly fine. We have elite by our name. So to me, to be elite, you want to play the best players. You want to play against the best competition. You want to play in the best tournaments. And that's what we strove for. It took several years to build up to that. And with the help of our wonderful coaches like you two, we've been able to achieve that. And we're still working to get better.
Yeah, I think the other points with having good coaches is important is that if you keep the coaches happy, then you can retain them and they'll come back year after year after year, because it's hard to recruit good quality coaches that believe in the same things that the club believes in.
Yeah, definitely. But I do want to ask you the next question just about how you did balance being the director and a dad for so many years. I'm sure there was plenty of times where you wanted to be a dad more than the director and you had to kind of step back. So kind of talk us through, what it was like being both.
It is tough being a dad and a director. I've had some parents do some inappropriate things at practices with me. I'm there to watch my daughter and they decide it's the time to have a complaint section, and I was always open to hearing, obviously, because you want to do better, you want to make improvements, and maybe they have a legitimate beef, but, don't do it while I'm sitting watching my kid practice or at a tournament. If there's somebody that's going to get, if there are going to be complaints, it's going to come to me, which is fine because I want to improve. But it can be tough when you are friends with other parents and they're not happy about something. And, it's a little tricky. But when I was like, I would talk every now and then, talk to one of the kids, one of the coaches of one of my kids, and I would have a phone call with them and I'd say, listen, the first thing I'm going to go over with you is as a director. Okay, now I'm talking to you as a father of a kid on your team. And then I would go into dad mode. And listen, I became friends with a lot of people. I went and learned who everybody was, who their kid was. You become friends with them. And you know how hard it is to send out an email to them, or if, in the future, I would just call and be like, hey, just want to let you know she didn't make it. I mean, that is tough, but we don't take kids because I'm their friend or I went to high school with them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a smart thing, to separate yourself and the other administrators from that choice process, because number one, the coaches are the experts, and number two, it separates you from that so you can say, honestly, it wasn't my choice.
What is your all-time favorite memory?
Well, I'll tell you, the first one was literally the first away tournament that we went to, because I was not happy that she was playing travel volleyball. I didn't think she was going to make it. That's why I took her to the tryout. And she ended up making it. And the first tournament was in Orlando. So I told Lee, my wife, that I would go. I brought a whole stack of dental journals and stuff to read while she was sleeping at night. And we went downstairs and the parents were like, oh, we're going to get the girls together. And we ended up staying up until like the parents did, not the kids. Kids went to bed. Parents ended up staying up until like 2 a.m, just hanging out and having fun. I was like, whoa, what is going on here? Like, it was just it immediately felt like a family. And that started the whole thing from there. And it grew from there. Obviously, another one, I'm going to take two, was in Philadelphia, Ella's 16th year, when we won the open bid. And it's not just because it was her team. It was just because we went from all of our teams playing an American every year to actually now having a team winning an open bid at the 16 open level. It was just, we were happy for our team, but I personally was happy for the club as well. I thought it was just a great moment for all of us.
So last question is just, what would you have to say to your daughters now? What would you have to say looking back on all the years of club volleyball? Is there something that you would love to tell them or say to them or give them any advice?
Oh, one's staring at me right now, looking at me. So this is a little awkward. I would tell them how proud I am. For both of them, both had different journeys. Sarah just started as what was supposed to be another sport. She was playing in rec. She went through all the sports, and next thing you know, we go through all of this stuff. And I'm just proud of how much work she put in. Ella came in as the fiery youngest kid in our family. It just was a fireball from the beginning, and has been a great teammate. Working hard on the court, working hard off the court, has had a great attitude. Just proud of the way they've handled themselves throughout the whole process. Neither one of them ever walked around saying, "Oh, I'm the best player around," type thing. And I think it also helped with Ella because she had a lot of really good players on her team as well. But yeah, I think as a dad, just the pride I have in, how they worked hard and followed through on everything.
Yeah. Well, you should be proud because they were very successful. You were very successful. The club's very successful. So something was done right there in that formula. And, hopefully that can continue on and others can, learn from that as well.
Yeah, so we just want to thank you for joining us and giving us your insight, and all of everybody watching on YouTube and listening in. Again, this is John Brodner. He was our club director and has 2 daughters who played club volleyball, and we're just so thankful. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, John.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, so some great insights from John. A lot of things we learned, and hopefully you guys learned. And we'll try and bring more guests like John on in the coming weeks.
Yeah. Thank you again. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in this week. Again, always please like and share and comment some things that you might want to hear us talk about. And we can't wait to see you next week.
Right. And come up and find us at tournaments and give us ideas like happened this week. And we hope to meet everybody out there in the world.
Cool. Have a great week.